everybody, and welcome back to the channel and to the Mazda Eunos Roadster rebuild. Now, it's been a while since I put up a video, and do apologise, but work and life has gotten in the way, like with most of us. My job is very demanding at the moment, so getting to do videos lately has been a little bit hard, but I'm working around that. And now I've got some time to make this video. I did make one last week, but it wasn't good enough, so I wanted to do a better video. So here we are. Now this one is, of course, to tell you the experience of the parts I installed, the job itself, and just to give you some insight on what you can expect for your money. Now, of course, let's talk about the first big elephant, which was the suspension bushes. As you've seen from a video of mine that I've already done, I originally purchased the Flowflex ones, only to discover that half of them don't actually fit the parts in the car. So they're full of crap. I would not even recommend anyone to buy those, unless you want to just flush your money down the drain. But again, we do live and learn, and I learned the hard way with that one. So secondly, I had to buy some more bushes. Now this time around I went for the Duraflex bushes. Now okay, they're about £100 delivered, and you might say again, yeah, they're cheap bushing, so they're going to fail. But actually, the difference between the Flowflex bushes and the Duraflex bushes was really night and day. The Duraflex ones are a one-piece bush. It's a bit warm in here today, a lot of humidity. I think it's going to rain. Yeah. But no, the Duraflex bushes are a one-piece bushing, and they fit every part of the suspension. They're very well made and precise. So again, for cheap bushes, I thought whether they compromise, and of course it's on the grease, you have to get that somewhere else. But I was willing to live with that, as I had grease from the other bushes. But no, the Duraflex bushes. So how have they handled up so far? Well, it's been about 2-3 weeks since it's been back on the road, and using it as an everyday car. To this point, I've had 0 issues with these bushes. They're very nice and firm. They're not over firm, right? They're not going to break your suspension too. But they, yeah, the handling is just well, mind-blowing how good they really are. So I would give 9 out of 10 for the Duraflex bushes. Yeah. A couple of them I did have to cut in half, but that's, you know, if you do it right, you're not going to damage them or anything, because there was one that I couldn't actually get into a wishbone. But after softening them up in hot water, they went in very fine. But the ride, yeah. So I've had 0 squeaks, noises, anything coming from the bushes. So hands down to Duraflex bushes, I would recommend them 100% for this job. Now, if you're building a racetrack car, I can't really comment on how well they will do in those conditions. Now, I'm only referring to a daily driver here, an everyday, bog standard Mazda MX-5. And I think for the price, it's a good upgrade without any hassle. There we go. Right, moving on to the second part. Now, the max speeding rods, the so-called eBay coilovers, as everyone calls them. Now again, they got all mixed reviews on YouTube, as you've probably seen yourself. But what I've noticed is there's not a really bad review or a really top-end review. They're all kind of mediocre. Now again, it depends what you're using the coilovers for. Now for me, I'm just replacing my original suspension struts, and again, using it for an everyday car. So this build I'm doing isn't for racing or anything like that. So as for handling on a racetrack, yeah, they're probably not going to do the job, no. But I don't know. So that I'm not really going to comment on. But for everyday use, I think they're a little bit underrated, to be honest. And what I mean by that is, okay, it's been what, 2-3 weeks. I've given this car a bit of hard use. The ride quality of the max PD ones, you know, they're kind of in between. They're not too soft and they're not too hard, right? They are firm, but they do also give not a bad ride, to be honest. And you know, I've not really felt anything uncomfortable, you know, and that's going over some of the harshest roads. And yes, you're going to get bumps and noises within the cabin because you've got plastic rattling around and so forth. But there's no noises coming from the actual struts themselves. Yeah, you know, top end, bottom end, nothing like that. You know what? They're doing their job. So for a coilover, just to replace your standard ones for everyday use, I don't see any problem with them. And yeah, for the price, who wouldn't? Yeah, I was skeptical at first. I thought these might not last. They might be a very awful ride and so forth. But you know, they're not a bad ride. So eBay struts, okay, for basic jobs, yay. I would recommend them, yeah. For if you're on a budget, you want some cheap replacements, there we go. We're going over some harsh big potholes at the moment. Bang, bang, bang. But it's kind of more of a firm ride when you go over these potholes, as you can hear. But not firm enough to break your spine. No, it still has an element of comfort in that as well, yeah. So for me, you know, they work perfectly fine. I don't see anything wrong with them, you know, and yeah, for the money, I'd say go for it. Now, what else did I do? Yes, I upgraded all my tie rod ends, ball joints as well. Now, I did come across one problem with the upper ball joints. Now, they do make ball joints now where you can press in and out of your control arms. Now, that can be good or bad depending on how old your old control arms are. If they're as old as the car, if they're 28 years old, if they're 30 years old, you may want to rethink that idea. So as from experience, my left passenger side one, I've had a bit of trouble with that. What's happened is when you pull the old ball joint out, the metal rim that it comes out from can stretch, and mine did that just a little bit. When I pushed the ball joints back in, they were nice and firm, but a week later it worked its way loose and I had a floppy ball joint. I'll just get around this truck here. Yeah, so I had a ball joint that was flopping around inside there, and the actual metal had stretched itself so much that you couldn't do anything with it at all. But the ball joint itself was from Motocroft, the Germany brand, and actually that failed as well. Now, I got these from mx5parts.co.uk. Now, being a German product, I thought these ball joints were, yeah, you know what, they would have done the job, but no, one did actually fail. And so not only did I have the top suspension arm loose, but the actual ball joint in the actual housing came loose. So there was no point in that, so I've had to rechange the passenger side top control arm. And this time round, I was looking around and I found a complete unit with the bushings and a ball joint in, brand new unit, for £59 delivered here in the UK. Now that's cheap as chips, because two ball joints separately cost me about 60 quid originally when I wanted to do this job. Now at the time, I was looking for these type of parts to put in the car, and I could only find the ones that were coming up to £200 to £300 worth, and I wasn't going to spend that much money on each control arm. But now I found them for about £57 delivered, which is fantastic. So it was just a direct swap, and ever since I've done that, I've had perfect suspension all around. So overall, it's taken 2 to 3 weeks to fine-tune everything, get everything working right, getting all the noises out, and to do it right. But just be warned, you know, when you're doing those ball joint presses, you know, if they're really old, you may have issues like I did with the ball joint popping out down the road. Within doubt, just buy another one. Okay, I don't have a window going on here. Right, not too sure what's going on there, but I think it's going to rain in a minute. Right, now the thing I did is put a new exhaust on. Yes, that's right. So, complete exhaust with catalytic converter, not from China, here in the UK, was £74 delivered. And as you can hear, it's super quiet, and that's the way I wanted it. And to be honest, I've gotten more horsepower back by putting an original exhaust on the car. Now this car originally had a twin exhaust on it, and yeah, it just made a racket in the end, and it was just so loud, it just broke down. But as you know, yeah, I'm importing the car back to Australia, so I wanted to pass the Australian Queensland roadworthy regulations. So for that, I'm just going stock to do it. But you know what? Fantastic job, you know, it only took a couple of hours to install, a couple of rusty bolts, and away we went. GT Performance made that exhaust, and hey, it is just a bulk standard exhaust, but it does the job. And for £74, can't complain with that. Not one bit. Now we got a window. I have no idea what was happening there. So, you know, overall, if you are doing this job, you can do it on the cheap, but it depends what you're using the car for. Now, if you're building a track kit, okay, I think a window doesn't want to go up now. If you are building a track car day, then I'm not too sure if these parts will work for you, if they can hold the stress up or anything like that. But I have proven that you can make your car, your MX-5, change its drivability for cheap. And you can install these parts for cheap. You know, if you got all the time in the world, it would take you less than a week to do the whole job. Besides some rusty bolts and stuff like that. Hey. So my opinion overall, you know, it is worth the job if you can do it yourself. But as we all know with cars of this age, you will come across problems. But the good thing is, since there's a good third-party following for the MX-5, you know, parts are cheap out there. You've just got to look and look and look. And unfortunately, sometimes we've got to try parts just to see if they're any good or not. And that's the nature of everything nowadays. So, hey, I would do it again. As in labour, this whole job would have cost about £3,000, £2,000 to £3,000 to do the whole lot, plus parts. So overall, I've spent about £560 total on the parts for this car to get it running great again. So there you go. And of course, I bought the parts bit by bit. I didn't buy them all at once because I couldn't afford it. Not one bit. But here we go. Here's a test for you viewers, so you can hear yourself what everything sounds like on a normal country lane with holes, bumps, drains, and everything in it. So I'll shut up now, and you can hear for yourself. Rather quiet. I'm loving how there's no squeaks in the poly bushes. Because at first I was a bit like, oh god, they're going to squeak like forever, but you know what? You put the right amount of grease in them, no issues. But as you can hear, there's no big clacking around, no big rattles, anything like that. But anyway, there we go everybody. Hope you enjoyed this one. This was just my opinion and review on the work I've done. Anyway, we're not quite finished yet. We got more coming up on the restoration of this car, and we're going to do the whole cooling system, plus frame rails are coming up. We're doing the frame rails underneath, and I'm leaving the paint till last, because when you're restoring a car or rebuilding a car, you want to get it mechanically right first. Right, everything right underneath. It might not look good on top, but get it right underneath. And then you can sit back and think about the exterior paint job and rust. But hey, I'm not bothered at the moment. It has original paint on it and it's doing its job still. So I do want to repaint the car one day, but I may not do that until the car is somewhere down the future. But we'll see. And we'll just have to go from there, I think. But that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and yes, we'll see you on the next one, and that should be in a few weeks time when I start on the rust repairs and frame rails.